We got here yesterday and we're a day early so we can enjoy the atmosphere.
Can I take a picture?
Looks like we're pretty close to Rushmore from where we are. And of course we're on the second floor, so it was a challenge. Thank heavens there was a nice person who took my luggage and brought it up because they have no elevators.
The bus is going.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought they were leaving at 7. I thought you said they were leaving at 7:30. They just left a few minutes ago.
Yeah, they said they were leaving at 8. That's why I brought it over at 7:30.
Well, we weren't leaving until 8:30.
We got leaks here. So that's it, if you can, if
There's no way I can remember. I should go over the baby. It's not.
This is the dining area. Families are starting to come in. It's like a gazebo. Here comes Smith with breakfast. Smith is having little pancakes with his
No.
Well, we found out there are 3 different tours starting one day before each other. So we're probably the 3rd tour to come in. Are you having a good time? Smith's checking out the place. Telling us about this. Rattlesnakes seem to be in this area, so we're going to stay on the paved areas and see what our guide tells us. Okay, this is our first day. First morning, we're getting ready. This is Custer State Park Visitor Center. Lost him again.
No, I probably was. He's in there.
Oh my god! Look at that one! Buffalon!
Oh look, look at right here. Look right there. Look at their shedding. All this hot weather makes them shed, huh?
Oh, there's a giant bull! There's a big bull over
Oh
there.
yeah, look at his head, how big it is. Oh, look at the baby. See the baby laying down right here? Isn't he the cutest thing?
Just a baby.
They're so ugly.
Big male, big male. Big bull.
I don't want him. Big man.
They're chewing away, huh? Look at his horns, how big the horns are. You know, you feel like you can go and just peel their fur right off of them, don't you? The way they're shedding. So look at it. He's a big one, isn't he? Right here in front of us. Isn't he a big one?
Yeah.
How much do you think they weigh?
At least like
1,000 pounds.
1,500. 2,000 pounds. That's
Look
the
at all
most
the babies right here.
Oh my god, there's so much. And there's some bison in here.
It's all bison.
Real ranger, right there.
How'd you get it?
Well, I applied.
Let me take a picture.
How old are you?
Take a picture with. May we take a picture? His grandfather was a forest ranger,
Oh, nice. Where at?
and his grandmother is writing a book, and the title, the fun title right now is my dad was Smokey the Bear. All right, boys, turn around. Turn around, boys.
My great grandpa was. Also, Mimi, why not a phone trick?
What?
Don't take duplicate pictures.
Oh, I take 6 or 7 of one picture.
You guys have time to stick around. I have a formal program at the top of the hour. 9 o'clock. It's 15 minutes long. I talk about how, why. Please don't touch the jackhammer, guys. Don't touch the jackhammer. Thank you. Don't touch.
Smith?
Oh, yeah. So
Will
how do
you
you take
ask-
this information and put it up a bar? Go this way. This way. Gives you linear distance out and back. Right? So go up that far out or come this far in.
I'll just span
It
this
also
down.
has linear distance up and down. Go that far down, come that far up. So cut here and here and here. So you take this and make that. This is 1/12 the scale up there. So 1 inch here is 1 foot there. 1 foot here is 12. That's all you need.
Oh, you do it on scale and figure out.
So there'd be a fixed reference point. So everything is underneath the sun for people. Not 100% so nonetheless. I know at least the 4 cardinal directions, north, south, east, west, were recognized in features on the mountain. That's a part of why it has its name. Does that make sense? Perfect. That's it. Near the end of Goods and Boardwalk's life, and near the end of the project, I actually have another picture here. Let me grab it. He has complete discretion as to where to put resources on the mountain. So he begins working on a side project, it's secret to him. His son, Lincoln Borglum, is his work, the draft. So Goodson wanted to build a 26-foot dome structure, a shrine that would hold our country's most important documents, the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, the Bill of Rights. I don't think Washington would lose those things here, but he dreamed pretty big. We were meant to visit the shrine, pay homage as pilgrims, a long staircase. Now he works on this in secret for 2 years, and all they accomplished is what amounts to an opening that could be to a Grecian temple and a hallway receding 75 feet into the dark. It's very dusty, I've been there. And at this point, Congress discovers that he's working on something in secret. They say, hey buddy, we're paying you for the faces. Finish those, and when you're done, we'll talk about your side project. But he dies, and they lose funding, and with the advent of the Second World War, there's no help. So, for 57 years, all this is an empty hallway, right? Until in 1998, at the behest of his descendants and with the approval of our Congress, 16 porcelain enamel tablets are installed in the time capsule, never meant to be opened. Not by us, like a sarcophagus, this is supposed to last millennia. Among these tablets include copies of the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, and the Bill of Rights. And they sit in a wooden box, in a titanium box, in the hole at the bottom of the sea. And it's all under a granite capstone. So if you've seen national treasure too. When they dug into the Hall of Records, this would skip over a rock, a tombstone kind of. That's actually the granite capstone on top of the time capsule. So there are records inside Woods and Woven's Hall of Records.
Do you work when they film?
Nope. I've only been here for about a month. My first.
They built all these fireplaces in here. You see it? See, there's a definite change right here in how it was constructed. And his brother finished, but his brother wasn't quite as good of a stonemason as he was. But this is just, I mean, this is just phenomenal. Pieces that they've got in here.
So thin.
I mean, it's just
a piece of art.
It's just an absolute work of art. So.
And could you explain, this was a fireplace? This is part of the original?
This was the original studio. If you get an outline of the original studio, it was log, and the log deteriorated.
Okay.
But this was his original. There's another gorgeous fireplace right over here too. Not quite as unique as this one. This one is just so unique that it's just, I can't come in here without looking at it. Just.
There's somebody up there off the trail.
You're going to carefully walk up with your stick up there. They have graham crackers and the chocolate getting ready. Once you get the marshmallow off, hand the stick to somebody. And when we get a few more sticks, Olga would collect the sticks and then she'll bring them down here when we run out. Okay? And then we'll have another crew start. We'll start with one marshmallow. So we don't need to be down here. If we have some left over at the end, we're going to give them to you because we got to get rid of them. That's my instruction.
Just have a plain marshmallow.
Okay. You don't want to roast it?
Okay. I'll try it. Bro, we're coming up there too. I'm just going to That's it.
Alright, that'll do.
Four? No. This is amazing. Sure, they'll never know. They're doing the restaurant.
You just put the stick in the trash can.
And that's when we began to lose the buffalo. And here's a picture of kind of illustrating. I'll just go like this.
Wow.
Illustrating kind of the waste of how the people of another culture, primarily white, came and began to destroy another culture. Because when you destroyed the buffalo, you were destroying culture, a religion. That's what you had. Buffalo skull.
This is the Alpine slide right over here.
What's that thing?
Here that I want to show you though, and you want to see a big buffalo. I'll start over here.
Well, he's squatting.
Big.
He's still big.
Oh my goodness!
So they can get quite big. And you know, when we saw them, they look pretty passive, didn't they?
Yeah.
But they're anything but if you antagonize them.
Why do you have a buffalo skull right here right now? Huh?
So,
Nice. We get to touch
this is called a buffalo box. This is a buffalo skull. When I was a kid, this age of the kids here, I was living in Pierce, South Dakota. I may have told you this story, I don't know. But they had just built the Oahe Dam. In fact, I was living there when President Kennedy came to dedicate the dam. And I was there for, I got like this close before the Secret Service pushed me away. Anyway, a lot of times the water was real low when they started to hold back more water to fill up the dam. And so below the dam is Pierce, South Dakota, the capital. And there were sandbars in the middle of the Missouri River. And I don't know how my mother and father let us do this, but my brother John and I were probably 5th and 6th grade. Went down to the Missouri River, and there's all these sandbars. And we walked out in front of the sandbars, and there's a pool of water in the middle of the sandbar. And John goes walking through, and he hits his foot on something, because we just had bare feet. And he starts digging in that sand. That was also water. And he started to feel this, and then this. And it was a perfectly preserved buffalo skull. Quite a bit bigger than this. Not as big as that picture of a huge buffalo. And I can only imagine that it had been preserved there for a long, long, long time. It's not like, because this is the 1960s. And who knows when that buffalo drowned. I'm sure that's what happened. But it had to be a long, long time ago when the buffalo were free to run. And we had that buffalo skull for a long, long time, and we just, for some reason, it lost our family. I don't know. We lost it, maybe. But we were quite proud of that buffalo skull. And it just was a kind of a remembrance of the town that we lived in, but also of the culture, which is the Native American people. Now, I grew up born in Sioux Falls, started school in Millbank, South Dakota, and then moved to Pierre. That was basically my first exposure to Native American people. We had a few natives in the public schools, but there was a Native American school, an Indian school, a boarding school in Pierre. And one of my only really contact with that school was in sports. And so I played basketball. I was part of the boys club in Pierre. And I can remember there was only a couple of teams that we played, and that was Fort Pierre, which is across the Missouri River from us, and the Indian school. And those Native American boys were really good. In fact, the couple of Native kids that went to my school that I played with were really good. And in my head, I had developed that idea that these Native kids are better athletes than the white kids. Well then, in 6th grade, after 6th grade, our family moved to Rapid City. Rapid City might have the largest Native American population in South Dakota. We're so close to the Pine Ridge Reservation and the Cheyenne Indian Reservation, which is up north. And our speaker, our dancer, who's in here tonight, is from the Cheyenne River Reservation. Anyway, I played basketball, football, did track with these guys. And they were great athletes. The trouble and the challenge was the kids from North Junior High, which was in North Rapid, had a dropout rate significantly higher than the schools that I attended, which were predominantly white. North was predominantly Native American. And they didn't stay in school. And I know they would have been great competitors. What's really cool nowadays, though, is they have what's called an all-nations Indian tournament. And it's in Rapid City, and Native American schools off the reservation, in cities, come to Rapid City and have this tournament. And not only the tournament, but then they have dances. They have all kinds of cultural events surrounding that. So it's not just about sports, but it's about a way of life. And what is really true about the Native life is the buffalo. It's a sacred animal to them.
Okay, we did our slide. I have the feeling the kids are going to do more. For a second ride. They're going for a second ride.
Oh, Mary Ann, they offer you photo.
I'll just pull some things out here.
Remember, they didn't have Walmart or Target.
Or Tupperware. No Tupperware.
They had no stores. All they had was a buffalo.
That was their store. So here's some porcupine needles and some, can you tell what it is? Yes, so it's some hide. So that's how some of the hide can be used, is for decorations, or for some of their bead work, or some of their fancy work. Okay.
Can you turn around?
I'm sorry.
That's
I'm
your
sorry.
seat. Yeah.
I'm sorry. Thank you for the reminder. I'm used to preaching in a pulpit. Everybody else. All the choir's behind me sometimes. Okay. That's pretty easy. How could you use this?
To blow through it.
Okay, why would you blow through it?
To make a cool noise.
If you make a
Communicate.
I'm not quite sure they use it that way. Yes?
A cup?
Yes, a cup.
Or they could use that they could cut off part of it and use it as a spearhead.
Yeah.
I doubt it would be used for that.
You could use it
But
to be a club.
You could use it as and I put it on my head.
A war
You could put it on your ear.
no, I don't think so. You're thinking of the Vikings now. But like a cup, a way to carry water.
Over here.
Yes.
I was gonna say that you could put like water into it.
Yeah, water.
How about ceremonial for
Could be used for ceremonial things.
or for
They
like
could be used
headdresses?
Yeah, headdresses. Yeah.
A pipe.
No, not a pipe.
It looks like one.
Okay.
Okay, what is this? Oh, that's what they like. Triple the strawberry mix. Oh, it's poop. Is that actually poop?
Oh my god.
That's poop. Hey, can we over here? My girl loves yummy. Yummy. We get over here. My grandma loves it. Eat it.
Okay, wait. Olga, can you tell us how they might use this?
Fire.
Olga.
You can make little boxes
Fertilizer?
out of
Fuel.
For fuel.
So,
So they burned that.
Yeah.
Did it smell when they burned it?
it smells when it's not burned.
We should test it. We have a fire. We should test it. Throw
Rice
that thing in
settlers
the fire.
came, they also use it for fuel. Cows as well.
Would they eat it?
Use it for buffalo
No,
chips.
they did not eat it.
So have you guys ever heard of the buffalo chip contest? This is called the buffalo chip. And they say who can throw up the flames.
Oh, crap.
It's the white man created that.
I have another use for it.
It's still that should be an Olympic sport.
Certain insects lay their eggs in there and they would dig up the larvae from the manure. Yeah.
Say that again, please.
Certain insects lay eggs
Yes.
and they would dig the larva and eat the larva.
Okay, so certain insects bury their eggs in here and create larvae, and you can eat the larva.
I'm sure they do eat it.
Okay, what is this?
Fun. It's fun.
Did you want to feel it?
Wait,
Hey, we can't even feel it.
blind hot.
Okay, this is the next ride they get.
Quite nice.
Skin.
It's liver.
A bone. Leather.
Stomach.
Blubber. Heart. Something that exists. Stomach. Something that exists in a buffalo.
Bladder.
Correct. It's the bladder.
Oh. That looks like a fish.
How could you use a bladder? What do you use a bladder for?
Restroom.
Well, but I mean, if you're going to use it now for a person,
Stomach aches.
Storing their
water.
It's a water.
How do you? I mean, remember this. There were no. Quiet. In western South Dakota, there were no natural lakes. None. There were rivers where they could get their water. How do you? So if you're going cross country from one river to another, you have to find some way to carry that water. So maybe this would work.
Well, the kids enjoyed this so much, we let them use our ticket to do a second ride on this. Let's see if this time I can get Smith coming down the hill.
Just two.
So, how did cause us me to trip and he caused me and Smith almost to fall all the way down, and then he started crying because he did that, and then
This is where we went for the alpine slide and for the terrifying slide down that the kids really enjoyed. Oh, we're at Crazy Horse. We're going to do some activities. We're at Crazy Horse, and this is an activity that we're going to be doing here.
Long length of string, so
We're
go
going
ahead
to
and
make a
pick
dream
one
catcher.
that you like, and I'd say if you do an arm stay.
excuse me.
We still have 15 minutes, right?
Right?
So everybody went that way.
Yes. Okay, so they let us get closer to the monument.
I got Wait, I have a question. How did it come from there to here? I don't know. Over
Okay, she said that not going inside the road, right?
Oh, 3 deer! Grandma!
Here.
You got deer? Can we go in?
Nope.
He's just gonna take a walk.
Oh, there's 3 of them.
Yeah! We know, we saw them!
Shoes.
Shoes?
Clothing.
Clothing?
I was gonna say blanket. Armor.
By the way, where did they live?
Teepee.
Yeah, that's how they would
Good.
So, where they would come and have visions. Yeah, for the lake. Now, how do you think they would use that? Can you tell?
Their sister must be tired.
I can't hear you. Yeah, they would use this on the hide to scrape. Okay?
Why would
You
they
get it
need
clean?
scrape?
You get it clean for
Rib.
How much you use a rib?
Whack it. I want to see rib.
Well, you might use it as a tool or a weapon eventually, a handle.
Barbecue. Barbecue. The kidney stone. Tail.
What do you think that is? That's a tail.
Whip.
And you know how they use this?
Whip.
It flies off you.
Same way the buffalo.
I mean, that's how they use it.
This is how we can have our breakfast. All of this is nice, but this is the infamous pancake machine, where it cooks the pancake and then rolls it out. Here comes the pancake. loves this machine. We are into the Badlands.
Can I go where the caves are? The caves inside of the rock?
It's going to be that much more time.
Yeah,
In the
no, I
pool,
appreciate you.
They'll use a lot of energy in the pool, I think.
Yes. Well, here we are at the Badlands.
This is perfect for the safe boy.
Yes.
Because we can see them. It's going to be heat or anything.
When I'm at home.
They have those salon pods pads, which I have really helpful for my back.
What's going on in the real lab chair? Yes.
Perfect place for them to be running around.
Okay, ready?
Just like this. It led to a complete excavation of the skull. There's Kylie right there. And so the actual one is in the case over there because the veins are tucked in. These are just. Then it opens it. Okay. Remember, kids.
I don't know. This computer's been a little bit weird for me too. Yeah. That computer, I tried logging into it, and it was like, yeah. And he said you're only allowed to be on one computer. Yeah, yeah. And then that day too, he happened to walk in, and I said, I figured it out, Robert. I said the only time I had problems with the computer.
Kylie has a very black look to it.
So it's sort of an irregularity?
An irregularity, shape, color, size, texture. Fun fact that Ranger Ed would tell you, and we don't recommend it, but believe it or not, if you find a bone and you put it on your tongue, it will stick to your tongue because of the texture of it. But if you don't know what soil you're in, you don't want to do that because you don't want to be in radioactive soil, for example. So, but here in our park, you could do that technically because we have a lot of sedimentary soil and non-toxic soils. So in general, she started by looking and finding this, and what she found was the Nimrod. So, yeah, and if nobody told you, there's actually fossil poop and fossil puke over in the case over there too. See how the teeth are black? Yeah. She has a rhino or black. Oh, here she is. So because there's lots of Nimrods out there, so when she found that we were able to get other ones and say, oh, that's Nimrod, so it's already made. Up there
Just a moment. Okay, this is a bighorn sheep we found.
Okay, you take your arm down. Arm down. Okay, all right. Grandmas are crazy about photos. As long as you're fast.
No?
Wherever you guys go.
Do you want to go down there?
Oliver and Smith are walking down. I didn't think you'd want to walk. As long as they walk. You want to go back to the house?
Well, let's stay with me here.
Here's a rally of commanders that are up here at Pinnacle Point.
It's up by Seattle.
Stay with us and don't stop.
Yeah, keep on moving. Straight. We go down one more.
What did you do? Isn't very cool?
That one's flying, that one's rocket, that one's maple.
Here are some of the famous wines, but the strawberry rhubarb wine is supposed to be very popular.
We stole your meals. I hope you won't mind.
Every day.
Yep.
Do you see the name of the wine they have in the back?
This sculpture is $28. It's like a Mac lion kind. It's got ears on it.
Hopefully you can fit it in your suit.
Oh.
Okay, go ahead.
You guys will mine for gold sometimes.
Okay.
Okay, got it.
Okay, this is the Journey Museum.
Take your camera to camera.
If you're not here, raise your hand. I feel that. Side out front doing gold panning. So, the name Journey Museum doesn't do a fantastic job of describing what we try to do here, right? Kind of think, the heck is a journey? Why do I care about that? Well, I'm here to answer that question, hopefully. So if you guys noticed when you were first coming in, the building is kind of weirdly shaped. It's actually meant to mirror the uplift of the Black Hills. The red rocks that you saw out front actually go all the way around our grounds and are meant to mirror the red racetrack natural rock formation. So, here at the Journey, we aim to tell both a cultural and scientific version of the journey from then to now in the Black Hills. So we do that with the help of 5 different partners. So when you first make your way through the museum, you'll go through a star room that's got both a scientific origin story and a Dakota origin story as a voiceover. From there, you'll get into the museum proper, and the first thing you'll see is our exhibits on geology of the area as well as paleontology. Our partner that helps us tell that story is the School of Mines and Technology here in Rapid City. From there, you'll move into a section on archaeology. That is helped by the state Archaeological Research Center. The section after that is on First Peoples' arrival to the hills, as well as the Sioux Indian Museum, which is overseen by the Department of the Interior's Indian Arts and Crafts Act. So then there is a section on pioneer history of the area and deadwood mining, which is overseen by the Minaloosa Historical Association, who focus on the pioneer history of the Black Hills. And then the last of our partners is the city of Rapid City. So towards the end of the museum, you'll see a flood exhibit for the Rapid City flood. And that's one of the ways that the city of Rapid City helps us tell our story. So I'm going to get you guys started with the 15-minute film that's both an introduction to the museum and a history of the Black Hills. So I'll go ahead and hit that.
South Dakota, Rapid City. I am actually a prospector. I have my own claim. Anybody wants to see what gold looks like? We did this yesterday and nobody found anything, but then in one pan we found 9 pieces.
Ooh.
So everybody look at that one gold piece up there.
If we find one, can we keep it? I've got a gold nugget around this big. How much does that sell for? I
Depends
love
on its weight, on its uniqueness.
It's beautiful.
Sometimes they don't sell nuggets for the weight. They'll sell nuggets just for their uniqueness. Sometimes, like one of the nuggets that was found up here is called the icebox nugget. It's shaped like a little icebox. So it's got a weird shape to it. It's worth a lot more than just weight. All right. Okay. And I'll take some of these.
Oh,
yeah, you'll find pyrite, you'll find a lot of different stuff.
I can tell by the color. My grandpa has a doctorate in geology.
Oh, right on. Mud clods in here, break them up. Anything big. And then once you start looking at these clean rocks, if you know it's not gold and you know you don't want it, you throw it out. Just throw it in the grass somewhere here. Okay? So like this big one here is granite. There's no value to it. Just got her. Quicksilver, but it had both qualities. But yeah, get rid of the big rocks that you don't. You're gonna find red rocks.
Do I have any?
Yep.
Land. So, one of the biggest driving forces in settling the Dakota Territory was the Homestead Act of 1862. So basically the deal was with the U.S. government allotted 160 acres to any family willing to go homestead in the Dakota Territory if they lived there for 5 years and could prove it. So that sounds pretty nice, right? Getting 160 acres of land for free. Well, nice enough to where you would take your entire life, shove it in a wagon, and try and make the trek?
Yeah?
It does sound like a pretty good idea. So, 2 big things of importance were the 1868 Treaty of Fort Laramie. Said no settling west of the Missouri River. All the lands from the Missouri River west belong to the Ocheti-Stockween people, otherwise known as the Sioux. Now, when gold was discovered in 1874, that changed. People started settling west of the Missouri. And then that treaty was completely nullified in 1876, when people started settling in the Black Hills in search of gold. So, with a wagon, if you are loading up your wagon to go homestead or farm the land, what kind of things do you think you might need?
Food.
Food?
Plows and stuff.
Yep.
Water.
Water? You'd be able to find water for the most part at places.
Tools.
Tools?
Food.
Food?
Clothing.
Clothing? Hey, all is good. So you guys are all right on that case. But with a wagon, you're limited both in space for what you could take and still fit with your entire family, and what the animals pulling your wagon could handle. Because they're living beings, they've got limits. They can't pull too much and make that long trek. So you had to keep in mind what you could actually take with you. So the whole scenario here is that you just got off the Transcontinental Railroad down in Nebraska, and you are going to be taking a wagon from there to your homesteads. Now, the people on the train did not care whose stuff was whose on the train. It all ended up in a pile by the railroad. So, the goal here is one family is going to Fairburn, South Dakota. The other is going to Buffalo Gap. I believe you are the Buffalo Gap group and you guys are the Fairburn group. So, you guys have to load your wagons up at the train station. You've only got a limited amount of time. Each family has a baby that they must take with them. You can't leave your kid at the train station. So, you're trying to try and take what you can in order to survive, not go over the weight limit of your wagon, and to make sure you can live when you get there. Because if you get there and you forgot something, can you just go to Walmart to go get another?
Yeah.
No, you couldn't. There wasn't a lot of people out there. There weren't stores where you could actually get that stuff. So you had to be able to work the land. So what we've got is a 1,000-pound weight limit. Everything on here is labeled either Fairburn or Buffalo Gap. So don't steal stuff from the other family. Make sure you got what it takes to survive. Don't overload your wagons. And you guys will have
10 minutes.
we are going to go with about 10 minutes to gather everything. So we are going to take a quick look at what you guys chose.
So where's the babies?
And we'll see
Babies at the bottom of the pile.
how well you guys would have stacked up.
We have 435.
Okay. So if you're at about 435, well, let's see here. You've got your plow. You've got your supplies for there, ammunition and a gun. You've got wheat to plant. What'd you take here? 100 pounds of salt. You guys laugh.
That wasn't me.
No.
That was me.
It's important.
You guys are laughing.
No, it's good.
No.
That's a very good thing to take.
Yeah.
Salt will preserve meat.
Good going, Sebastian.
So, let's see here, spice box, you got a canteen, you got matches, you've got more tools, you've got a jack for your wagon,
That was me. We got some tools.
You guys have a coffee grinder.
That was me. Do we have tools? We have
have coffee.
I don't see flour.
Yeah, we have flour.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
I see it.
Yeah, we have flour.
Okay, so you guys brought sourdough starter as well as flour.
Look at this.
So-
Look at this.
What do you guys think sourdough starter is?
Oh, it's like bread. It's like you can make it into bread.
You can make it into bread. You can make it into an almost infinite amount of bread. If you keep the yeast in it alive and keep feeding it flour, that's why, have you guys ever heard of friendship bread? The bread that keeps on giving? That's sourdough. So all said and done, you guys might have done a pretty good job.
Are we gonna make it?
Let's see what you guys left.
I fell over.
Lard. Lard is awesome for axle grease.
What's
Making
lard?
sure it's
I thought that was
fat.
just a bucket.
So lard is fat that you can use as grease for like your wagon wheels, which would have been important. That group does not have a medicine box. So you guys don't have to worry about gathering that. So you guys, I saw brought bison poop. You guys are laughing, but it's a great idea.
Oh, it's from me. It's from me.
Did you guys see the other side of the state, like out by the Sioux Falls area? Is that where the direction you guys came from?
No, they're all from all over.
I mean the bus tour. Is it, did you guys?
We've been staying here.
Oh, okay. So, for those of you that have been over to that side of the state, there's not a lot of trees. So, what little bit of wood you have, you wouldn't want to waste like making fires, right? So, buffalo poop is an awesome fire source. So, that was a big thing to take with you.
Really? I thought you just get it.
So, how were you guys on weight?
Did we make it? Yeah, we
In order to give yourselves the best chance of actually surviving out there. Because you guys also brought tools that would have been for farming once you got there. Or building sod houses, which is what you often had to do because there weren't trees to make, well, for the
Brachiosaurus. Not identify these. I can identify this as a rib bone. Go right here. I can identify this as a body jaw of an herbivore.
Okay.
This. Oh, these pigs fly down. I could identify flashes on it.
The availability of land, homesteading, lumbering, and ranching, and the existence of the railroad.
Doesn't this remind you of the night before Christmas, was it? Or
These are for sale.
Well, good evening, everyone. My name is Robert Yellowhawk. I'm here to demonstrate the Lakota traditional style dance and regalia for you tonight. With me is my family. This is my wife, Erica, our 3 children, Mia, Liana's underneath the table, and here's Robbie Jr. I am from the Cheyenne River Sioux tribe, which is 4 hours away from this location near a small town called Eagle Butte here in South Dakota. We are part of the Lakota tribe. Now we are known in the history books as the Great Sioux Nation, where the Lakota, Dakota, and Nakota tribes fall under. Now, with our tribe, we have 30,000 enrolled tribal members that live on and off the reservation. A lot of us tribal members moved to Rapid City for employment opportunities, which brings my wife and I to a nonprofit youth organization called Rural America Initiatives, located in Rapid City and Crow Creek, with an 8-classroom building in Crow Creek, focus on early Head Start and Head Start youth, In Rapid City, we have a 12 classroom, newly built school focused on early Head Start and Head Start youth. Now with this school, it was built in 2019. It was the largest capital campaign South Dakota has ever seen. We are planning on expanding due to reaching full capacity the day we opened our doors with those classrooms. But we're going to expand by 8 more classrooms because in 2030 they predict the Native American population growing twice as much for the Rapid City area, twice as much as any other population in the area. So we're trying to get ready for the need. Now, Rural America Initiatives was created in 1986 for the Rapid City community to help those single mothers that were transitioning from the surrounding reservations into the Rapid City community, where they were finding the issue of being waitlisted at those child care facilities for 2 to 3 years at a time. That is when the founder, Ann Fines, she asked the surrounding tribal presidents if she can get approval for building the school and to offer child care for those single Native mothers. Now we have grown with our organization in '94. We started a youth mentoring program, which is with 1 mentor at the time. Now we have 25 youth mentors helping tutor throughout the school district throughout the day as a teacher assistant, and then after school implementing the cultural programming. And that after school program is open to everyone. Half of the youth are non-Native because they're drawn to the cultural aspect of the programming. Now that's for elementary, middle school, and high school students. For the high school, the focus is to increase the Native American graduation rate. In 2010, when that mentoring program started for the high school students, the success rate for Native students graduating on time was 33%. So over the course of 8 years pre-pandemic, our statistics show a 66% completion rate, a success rate, and 95% of our youth enrolled with our programming graduated on time. So very happy to share those numbers. Our program evaluator, Dr. Tony Serra, travels all over the U.S. to share his positive statistics. Today, actually, we got funded for another federal grant program where we can offer the mentors more salary, because we're finding a very tough time for staff retention, just like any other business and I guess across the nation. It's very hard to find good workers. Now, with this organization, I've been employed for the past 13 years, but before employment, I would volunteer and help the elementary youth. After I was offered the position as a mentor for the middle school youth, I was at that position for 8 years for elementary, middle school, and high school students. I was a part of those positive statistics as a mentor with tutoring throughout the day for the high school. And after the 8 years, I was asked to be program director for a suicide prevention grant, where I partnered with the Catholic Social Services to implement the Lakota Circles of Hope curriculum with 5 other mentors for the middle school students. In some statistics, we do have some of the highest numbers of suicide rates across the nation within the surrounding reservations. And a lot of that has to do with living in poverty. Now, I currently hold the position of business manager of Rural America Initiatives, shadowing the executive director who is getting ready to retire soon. I'm learning everything with the daily operations and how to look over the federal and non-federal budgets. I also am pursuing my master's in business administration through Creighton University, meeting a lot of great colleagues, and just like my senior year in high school at the largest high school in South Dakota, Rapid City Central. I was always maybe one of two Native kids in my class. So that's how it is at the university with Creighton on those online courses. But I'm happy to be a representation of the Lakota Nation. Now that is a little bit about myself, what I do for the community. I was a student, a part of that mentoring program in middle school. And just like those kids we work with on a daily basis, I did grow up in a single parent home with my mother. So very thankful for the mentoring and those mentors teaching me the ceremony as well as our cultural identity. But from head to toe, I wanted to go into explanation with this regalia. Now, you'll see on the head, I'm wearing a pesha, and the back feathers is an eagle feather bustle, and the Angora sheepskin around the ankles represent the plumage of the Northern Plains prairie chicken. All these different items represent that prairie chicken. In the springtime, they do their spring mating dance, and they puff up their chests. Their feathers on their back will pop out like my bustle that is sitting that way. And they'll get really low to the ground like they're pecking, similar to my head movement when I'm dancing to that drum later in the presentation. And they'll try to do fancy footwork to impress the female prairie chickens. So that's what we're trying to mimic. Now, traditionally, this dance was done before battle would take place, before battle to hype up the warriors. The warriors performed this dance, or after a victory in battle as a celebration of that victory in battle. Now we do this dance as a celebration of life and preservation of the cultural ways. A lot of my family and friends compete against one another at those annual powwows. There are over 100 powwows across the nation. If you ever are interested in attending one after this presentation, you can look up powwows.com, and there's a long list of powwows, more than likely 2 or 3 near your city or where you live. Now with these powwows, my main focus tonight and my goal is to teach you about the most popular style you'll see, which is this men's traditional style, where there'll be 100 to 150 dancers out there at a time competing against one another to be crowned a world champion dancer. Now, with this regalia, you're judged on how nice and how well you can keep your regalia in competition, as well as how well you can move to the drum, if you're on beat with the drum with your footwork, and if you can stop on time to that drum, and then how you treat the people in that powwow community. You pretty much have to be a politician out there, you know, shaking hands and smiling at everyone if you're gonna be a competitor. But those are some of the protocols, you know. You always take care of your regalia, and your regalia will take care of you. Now we like to call it a dance regalia and not a costume, kids, because, you know, costumes are what we wear on Halloween, you know, but this is our traditional wear from the past. Now, from head to toe, I wanted to go into explanation. The 2 head feathers come from the tail of a adult golden eagle. And those will represent 2 warriors looking out for one another in battle. Now, the tall hair you see in this pesha, that is porcupine guard hair. And it's the pesha is meant to stand straight up, just like those guard hair on the porcupine. And the lower hair is white-tailed deer hair. Now, traditionally, like you can see inside of the pesha, they're dyed a maroon color. And to get those different dyes traditionally was from the earth. But now we can easily go to Target or Walmart or Hobby Lobby and get those dye called Rit dye and throw that white-tailed deer hair into that pot of Rit dye and get those more fluorescent colors. Now, I do have some beadwork on my regalia, on my headband, on my medallion, on my side drops, on my moccasins. The beads came to the Lakota through trade from the Europeans. But traditionally, we were known for the porcupine footwork, as you can see on my arm cuffs, my armbands, my choker drop, and my leg bands. And I put that quill work on this regalia to show the past and the present. So majority of the dancers at the powwow will wear a fully beaded regalia because it doesn't take as long as quill work. Now the process of porcupine quill work was done traditionally by the women, but now it has reversed the roles where a lot of the men will do the quill work in these days. Where they'll take the porcupine quills, soak them in water for half a day so they can soften enough where we can flatten those quills with our teeth. At that time, get those traditional colors from the earth. Now we can get more of those vibrant colors from that red dye. And then we hand stitch in geometric designs into the buckskin war shirts or the women buckskin dresses. In this case, for my regalia, this is wrapped around rawhide. It is geometric designs. Usually a family design is what you wear. Now, this design was handed down to me from my grandfather. But this is wrapped around rawhide, and I just wanted you to know it takes a very long time, about 4 to 5 years to complete a fully quilled regalia, a fully beaded regalia, 2 to 3.
We still have a double. Yes. Boys, we got a bag. I said, oh, no, I got that. Blocked. I blocked it. I blocked it. Sarah, I blocked it.
Those hot dogs.
Yeah, I think that person is doing it.
Now compared to teeth of both, you're going to notice that the woolens are much smaller. They can actually fit into teeth plates within 10 centimeters in their mouth, and they're going to be more shaped like an oval. Whereas at the Colombian, you're going to see that the teeth are much bigger. They're going to be more spaced out in the mouth, and they're also going to be more rectangular. Now enough about teeth. If you look behind both, the rounded ankle bones and then the feet bones. You're also going to notice that within these bones there are cracks, and this is because, like I said earlier, we're at the edge of the sinkhole, meaning that this skeleton is like us due to weather, because there's freeze and thaw, which is also known as ice wedging, and plant vegetation growth. So freeze and thaw occurs when water will seep into existing cracks in the bones, freeze, melt, freeze again, and then melt again. This process of freeze and they can reach out to
Excuse me, is everybody else there?
No, we didn't. We didn't have that at all.
Educator here at the Mammoth site. And in there, you guys saw our bone bed, focuses on what was happening in South Dakota, specifically at this site. One of the cool things, though, as an Ice Age research institution, is we still lots to learn. And as with the world today, the Ice Age wasn't just one, biome covering the entire planet. We don't have a Star Wars planet where it's all desert or all ice or anything like that. So one of the things I always like to point out are these guys up here, because usually you guys have seen a couple of them at this point in your trip. So raise your hand if you remember what these guys are. Bison. So first things first, I heard bison and I heard buffalo. Which one is technically correct?
Bison.
Bison. Anyone know where the word buffalo probably comes from?
The burger thing. Bison's buffalo burger thing.
You're exactly right. Basically, when the French were exploring the American West, we kept calling them beef, or the bouffe, and then bouffe became buffalo, and then we call them buffalo. Now, there's technically another group of animals called buffalo, like if you've ever heard like the Cape buffalo or the African water buffalo, things like that. But these guys are an interesting, member of the bobbin group. One of the cool things, quick show of hands, are bison relatively large?
Yes.
So one of the fun things about bison, this is the modern species of bison. This is the biggest one we have alive today. There's technically 2 species of bison alive today, one with 2 subspecies. You've got the North American bison, and then you've got the European wood bison, also called the wisent. They're found in Eastern Europe. But one of the interesting things we see with bison is that they're not exactly consistent size-wise. The thing we see is that giant ground sloths probably play a role in the distribution of avocado in North America, because whereas we see the giant hit in the middle and we're like, oh, that's a problem, you're probably not trying to do that. These guys would just swallow the whole, and then it would activate their digestive system, and then basically it's dropped out.
There, my dad had a mastodon too. And I put it down, please.
It gets turned on, and then the beaver immediately goes over, so it's just piling stuff next to it, trying to get the sound to stop. What's also interesting is that part of the reason they build those dams, one of the benefits it provides them, is it blocks the water, makes a really deep area that they can then dive into and hide.
I'm building Mount
It really varies based on classes, they bring their own expertise and own knowledge. A couple quick things. One, they're going to be going over some safety stuff, so make sure you're paying attention to that. If you have questions, make sure you raise your hand. Thing 2, if you do need to use the restroom at any point during this class, this is basically the same door we just came out of, just right up there to the right. All right, I want to thank you guys for being an awesome group, and I'm going to turn it over to you.
Alrighty, so as Seth said, my name is Ethan, this is Leroy. We're going to be your instructors for our dig class today. He also mentioned that it would be great if you guys would raise your hand when you have questions, or if you have answers, or even if you think you might not have the right answer, but you might have an idea. Still raise your hand anyway. That helps us learn a little bit more about science, even if we get it wrong the first time. Alright, so first question. Does anyone know, what are we doing here today?
Digging paleontology.
We are doing paleontology. So what do paleontologists do?
Dig. Study fossils.
They study fossils. We're going to be digging for fossils today, right? Can anyone tell me, what is a fossil? Yeah.
It's like over when you die, your bones are preserved in the dirt, and that's a fossil.
Yeah, exactly. So bones are a big fossil. Can anything else be fossils? Yeah.
Something that is over 10,000 years old.
Yep, that is one classification. I'll get to that in a second. Yeah.
Some plants.
Plants can be fossils. What else?
Shells.
Shells. Yeah.
Extinct animals.
Animals are a big one. Yeah. A little louder. Footprints can be fossils. Another big one. Yes.
Plants.
Plants. Yep. Any other ideas? What else can be fossils? Yeah.
Rock.
Certain kind of rock. I'd say it's not usually. Usually has to be kind of a remainder of a living thing. Yeah.
Cartilage.
Cartilage usually doesn't preserve. I'd say it's very, very rare for that to preserve just because it is soft tissue. Another kind of one that no one mentioned that's one of my favorites are what are called coprolites, or fossilized dung specimens, fossilized poop. One of my personal favorites. But yeah, as you guys mentioned, there's a lot of different kinds of fossils.
That's my favorite food.
That's it. All right, so can anyone tell me? Honestly, we already got one definition for how things can be fossils if it's over 10,000 years. Can anyone tell me? Any ideas for what's another classification for fossils? What's something else that can determine what a fossil is other than its age? Yeah.
A fossil could be rock hard instead of soft. Would be a newer.
That is exactly right. So, generally, what we're going to talk about today are two different ways to define fossils. One, like you said, is petrification. I have a piece of petrified wood here. So it's when all the organic material gets leached out of a specimen and is replaced by the minerals around it, making it kind of a lot like a rock in many different ways. It's very hard, a lot more dense than the original specimen. However, like you mentioned earlier, fossil can also be something just older than 10,000 years. That's how our site is a fossil site, because our site, specimens at our site have not been petrified. They look more like this. So they're a lot more fragile. They still look exactly, very much like what they did whenever they were first being buried. But they have gotten a lot of the organic materials leached out and has not been replaced by minerals. So they're much lighter and much more fragile. I'll actually let you guys take a look. So one piece is a piece of petrified wood, the other is a piece of mammoth bone from our site. So
hi, as stated, I'm a number. And this is a rather big crowd, so I'm going to be doing this kind of up in the air.
Talk louder, please.
I'm going to be doing this kind of up in the air. And so pretend I'm in the dirt, please. Use your imagination. So today we are going to be looking at our tools first. Does anyone want to guess what this one is called?
Bucket.
It's a bucket. If you didn't know that, I'd be a little sad if I'm being honest. What's inside the bucket? It's Tide detergent. Yay! No, just kidding. We like to call this our scooper. Does anyone want to guess what we will be doing with the scooper?
Scooping dirt.
Nobody
Kind of.
Gravel.
Yeah. Kind of. You will be using it for digging, but not quite the way you're thinking.
Scooping.
Yeah.
Using the scraper thing right there to scrape the dirt in.
Exactly. So we aren't going to be using this as a shovel. We call this our trowel. What we're going to be doing with this is using the side, not the front, not the back, the side, as an edge to scoop as much dirt into this as possible. And for everyone who can see, that'll look something like this. And then when we get dirt inside that, where are we going to put it?
In the dirt.
Not in the dirt, in the bucket. Right there. When that bucket gets about 3/4 full, you will tell me or Ethan and we will come and replace it, okay?
Cool.
Does anyone want to guess what we do with this funny little tool? Yeah.
You brush the dirt so you can see the fossil.
Exactly. Let's say we find a bone. Eureka! We found a bone! And we want to get more dirt away from it, but we can't use that trowel. But we want to really see that bone. So what we're going to do is we're just going to scrape more dirt into this. This acts kind of like a second trowel, but to help protect your bone a little better. All right? So everyone can see, just like that. And what do you do when your scooper is full of dirt?
Put it in the bucket.
Put it in the bucket. What happens when your bucket's 3/4 full?
You bring it to you
ask
scream
and
at
we'll come replace it.
Yeah.
And last tool. What's this?
A brush.
What kind?
A paintbrush.
Exactly. Are we going to be painting today?
No. Maybe.
Not at all. What we're going to be doing with this is when we get close to that bone and we want to see those finer details, we're just going to use it to get them right out like that.
Cool.
All right? Now look, my trowel-shaped bone is now perfectly exposed. All right? And when we get some of that dirt off that, where do we want to put it?
In the bucket.
In the bucket. You don't want to move it around you. That'll just ruin other people's time, okay?
No, you don't say that. It might actually be something. Yeah.
Oliver, sit down.
This is our closing reception. And then we're having dinner.
They want to learn, they pay attention. If they don't learn more when I'm there, then I'm not going to shoot them.
If I can just get Bruce to stop talking, we can go ahead and start, right, Bruce? Thank you so much for coming tonight to our reception and now to our meal. Well, I'll be asking a table to go at a time. Goes to a mass chaos kind of.
A good Methodist will do that, one table at a time.
You know, I've gone to a lot of receptions, and oftentimes my prayer is, Lord, please let me be the first one. Because a lot of times the receptions aren't all that fun, because I don't always know all the people. So it's always a little uncomfortable. And a lot of the weddings I do and so on. But that's not really my prayer. I'm just so thankful for you and your participation in this week of learning and a lot of fun. I hope you had a lot of fun. Did you have fun?
I did.
All right. And so after you have your meal, just remain so we can have a few things to share after we get done eating. Okay? Okay. So we're going to start at that end. You guys have privilege to be first, and then we just go down the line. Some things about your state that you're sometimes embarrassed about. and that's like my family too. There's things I love about my family, and there's things that embarrass me. And but it's good to have a place that I can show off. And the part that you missed is the northern Black Hills. So you'll have to come back to that sometimes. Because the northern Black Hills have a whole different kind of, in some sense, culture. As an example, Leeds, South Dakota was a mining town and a company town. And that's the only place I've lived where that was true. It was dominated by Homestake Gold Mine. And then Deadwood, just down the hill, was dominated by the time I moved there in '92 by gambling. Gambling has just taken over. We had a banker in our church and who banked in Deadwood. And one of my conversations said, Deadwood is a town of 1,800 people. It has approximately 130 businesses selling exactly the same thing, gambling. I mean, it's just an incredible kind of experience to live in that kind of culture. And so the Northern Hills is different. They also have universities. What's interesting about that is if you go 15 miles north to Belfouche, that's a real cowboy town. I mean, a real western town. Rodeo dominates that town. And Spearfish is that college town, more professional. So maybe like where you're from, you find each community has its own unique culture and experience, heritage, and that's one of the things I love about doing this job. I can share something about what South Dakota has.
I'll buy you guys some ice cream.
What I'd like to do tonight is do what we did at the very beginning. And so we do have pictures for each of you. And so when I called you to come up and get your picture, the first time that we met in our introduction, I asked you if there's anything you know about South Dakota.
Check the food.
Or what is something
That's most important so people don't slip.
So tonight what I'd like to do when you come up is just simply say, this is something that I've learned, this is something that I've enjoyed. And if you don't have anything to say, just say pass. If you're not, you don't feel comfortable speaking in front of people, that's fine. Okay? Will you be okay with that? Yeah. Okay. So, Mary Ann, Richard, Patton, and Oliver?
Yes.
You guys all want to come up?
No. Why not? I'll go last.
So, something that you learned and something that was really fun. Each of you can share. Okay.
I asked them what their favorite thing was before, and they indicated.
You gotta speak up to the
They indicated their favorite thing was Mount Rushmore. So I said, well, what is your second favorite thing? Thinking it would be today. But it was the tube slide.
Yes.
That seemed to be the second. But one of the things that I have thought about is that if all of you young people will look at the people that brought you here, your grandparents, keep in mind, they are the people that raised your parents, okay? It's a little bit of critical thinking type of thing. So your grandparents tried to teach your parents their values. You reflect your grandparents and your parents. I think you're at an age, and I apologize for going on like I am, but you're at an age that you're turning and thinking about different things, and so you're starting to get to a point of critical thinking. So you may have to start giving up a few things, but you'll gain other things, employees, better decisions, because we certainly don't want to be like many of those mammoths that made bad choices. But I just thought I'd share that with you. You guys are all a great.
Okay, Olga, Lucy? You don't have to.
Good day. He's living in an embarrassment though. Because it just know said he did it for kids.
How could they have this huge thing come up? So that was my and I love having
I did this.
Lucy, you want to say something?
Fun thing was Evan's plunge, the alpine slide too, and the horse.
That's all new experiences.
All right, thank you. Sandra, Richard, Scott.
One thing that I learned was that the person who oversaw the construction of the store didn't let me see it finished. And my favorite part was taking a trip with Eric.
All right.
I really enjoyed Crazy Horse. I came when I was about 10, and at that time it was a hump and a line. And then we brought our children when they were about 10, and a whole lot more was done. So it was really fun and interesting to see the face finished and to know that they're working on cuticles. So I really like the Crazy Horse.
I like the Alpine slide. I thought that was great. I was able to beat Ben down the hill.
Okay, Glenn and Lily and Terry.
Well, I learned that she can fit in the pupil of the presidents on the Mount Rushmore. And I guess I really enjoyed the whole thing because all of these are places I have visited. And so it was nice to see what has been done with them since then and how it changed. So I enjoyed that quite a bit.
Yeah.
I really had fun with the horseback riding. It was a bathroom, and I learned, like, so before we came here, I only really knew so the presidents on Mount Rushmore, Abraham Lincoln, and George Washington, so I learned that, like, the other
For me, much greater appreciation for the American Indians, the empathy for what they have gone through, what they are going. And my primary goal was to light a fire under Lily for travel, and she seemed like she really loved it.
Great.
Bonnie, Kevin, and Cam.
Well, I always thought the idea of who was carving Crazy Horse was kind of crazy. It seems like they really have a plan, and I believe that it's going to get done. And I enjoyed really everything about this. You don't know?
Nancy. I read Moon and Popping Trees as part of the pre-work with this, and it's really a good book if you haven't read it. But this really helps to understand that book and everything happened here. In specific, the origin story for the zoo in Dakota with the cable winds and so on is really something I didn't know about. I think that's just and the Alpine slide was fun.
Shh. The Native Americans really relied on bison, and there are just so many uses for bison.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah?
I like
Horses. Gary, Liz, and Janet.
This was such a great tour with so many different activities. The horses, I have to tell you, I was a little timid about that. Alpine slide, I was a little timid about that. But it was really, it was on their level. And they didn't get bored. And they learned to travel and learned to be, adjust to things, their way, and it was a great trip. The tube ride, that was memorable.
No.
Horrifying, but memorable.
I did not. I am not very good at giving speeches, as you can already tell.
Never let them see you sweat. Never say that. You're fine.
So what did you enjoy?
I enjoyed enjoyed a lot about the horses. And the gold climbing, I was a little bit more enthusiastic about that in the beginning. But yeah, I thought there'd be a lot more gold. And also the horses.
Well, I enjoyed participating with this young man, of course not that. But I think of the events, I would single out Robert Gill's Pepper's Feather, particularly because as he described the way that the meaning behind the dance, that informed something for me that I had never understood before. The dances had always seemed foreign. We've all seen them. We've seen them on TV. We've seen them in cowboy westerns and things like that, as parodies probably. But we recognized it in the way that he was telling us the meaning of those dances. And that made the Indian life much more personal. And it also then made me appreciate what he's doing for his community, the way that his grandfather had been a part of his life, as we hope to be a part of our children's lives. So, thank you.
Hey, Brad, Marlene.
I hate it when my punchlines don't work. Hey, you got the entire group to laugh.
Well, I'm a little different role here. What I would do is try to spend time with these.
We got to do some of this with our kids, but we haven't seen everything that we got to see the grandkids. And so we really enjoyed having firsts with them in places that we've seen, getting to tell them and show them things that we had already seen. And every time I thought I had a favorite, we did something else, and it's like, oh, that's my favorite. So, yeah, good great trip.
Please.
I need that baby.
One thing I learned was to not always listen to it. One thing, I learned a lot more about the presidents because I didn't know that much. And I enjoyed the alpine slide, the hot springs, horseback riding, mountain and mostly everything.
Very good. Very articulate.
Candace, Wyatt.
We're going to be on last.
I enjoyed being with this young man. Everything about the program. Enjoyed everything about the program, and I liked the way the fun and the knowledge learning was just right. What did you like from that?
I learned that it took a lot longer to build Mount Rushmore and Crazy Horse than I would have thought it would. And my favorite part was the hot springs and the tube slide.
Very good. What David?
Oh yeah, they went back to do
Tina?
Grandma.
Schmidt?
Grandma. Okay.
I always thought about it.
We're friends of the bride.
I used to prepare for
It's not really a summer place. It is
Well, this was meant to be something to help Smith. He is a traveler. So this was to help him kind of look at what art history is before he started studying it in school. I was pleasantly surprised to meet so many people and to see how quickly we could become a community. We looked after each other.
Thank you.
A little something that the traditions of the countries, and something that I enjoyed was the distance. Something I learned about South Dakota is that it had Mount Rushmore, and something I really liked was the elephant.
I've been to South Dakota a few times in the past and to the Black Hills, but thanks to Eric, I really came out of this trip with a much deeper appreciation and understanding of the state. I really feel this now that it's not discrete tourist sites, but it's much more coherent vision of the state. So thank you for that.
And of course, one of the things I'm sure both of us were traveling with these two guys don't see each other as much as we would like them to. This is their first chance to spend this much time together and really become really good friends. I've been here a number of times into the Badlands. I love the Badlands. There's some things I hadn't seen before that I learned about, and primarily the Mammoth Site and Crazy Horse. And I echo the comments about learning about South Dakota.
Thank you. Okay, Jeannie, Reno, Aiden.
Okay. One thing that really surprised me is how quickly the topography changes around here. I didn't realize we could go from the spires, but from the area where the monument, where the Mount Rushmore is, to the areas where the prairie dogs are. It was such a transformation. I was surprised at how quickly that happened. What would you like? My favorite part? Oh gosh. I guess my favorite part was when I looked up who is the fifth face at Mount Rushmore. And it came to me when I was here in 56, when I was about your age. There was an Indian chief that dressed up as an Indian chief and used to have his picture taken at and my sister was the Indian chief there. Oh, Mount Rushmore in 56.
Wow, it's crazy. I know the thing
My favorite part of the trip was probably the steep tube and the hot springs and the tube slide and the tramway benches.
Nancy and Elliot.
Okay? Yeah, one by yourself? He wants to go by himself.
I learned that Crazy Horse actually existed. And my favorite thing was the hot springs and definitely going to the Badlands. Amen, brother.
Anita and Daniel.
One thing I learned is that the and my favorite part of the trip was going to Evans Plunge, going down the tube slide, and
Here was to spend time with Steel Hand and to my women's sport in South Dakota.
side of the state. So we didn't visit this part at all. I came through here with my husband years ago, and it's so nice just to, it's such a different state on this side. Yeah, right. I mean, the other side of the state is flat and has nothing but farms. This side has all the good stuff. I too thought there was a whole lot of gold on this side of the state, but obviously not. And I really enjoyed the slide, and we've had a wonderful time. Our guide was fantastic. I learned all kinds of things I didn't know about something.
Eric the Great. Eric the Great.
Can't you?
And my goal was to be a fun grandmother, and we've heard tonight we've had a great time the entire time we've been here. So, and thank you for all of you, for you. It's been a wonderful trip. Thank you.
Okay, last but not least, Bruce, do you want to come up and share?
She's nice. Bruce! 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 Bruce!
All right. Well, first of all, I wanted to thank Eric for doing a fine job of leading us through the hills and being well organized and knowing where we were going and what we were doing and working on that. I also want to compliment all the grandparents for their patience and their persistence in getting their grandchildren to being where they needed to be when they wanted to be. And I wanted to compliment all the young men and all the young ladies for being very good travelers and very good travel companions to all of us. So I hope you enjoyed our great state. I enjoyed having you, and I welcome you back sometime in the future. Thanks for letting me drive you around.
All right. Apparently I didn't say this at the beginning, or you didn't hear me. Some people have asked, how many kids do you have? Well, I have 3 beautiful daughters. They're really smart. They're really kind. What else do you want to hear? That's fantastic. My wife, Ruth, is an educator. And I've always said, I'm a theologian. She was a science teacher. Science and theology really do go together well, at least in our household. And we have 5 grandchildren. And of course, because I know this area, I've taken our our 2 grandsons are about the only ones who are old enough to do this at 13 and 9. The others are 3 and 5 months. So they're not ready for this. But we enjoy spending time with our kids. In retirement, I've had the chance to spend more time with that 5-month-old and the 3.5-year-old because of COVID and other challenges. My 13 and 9-year-old, I'm looking forward to having experiences like this because they live the furthest away in Denver. And I just kind of envy the fact that you guys got to do this with your grandchildren, and I look forward to doing it with mine. Thank you so much for being a part of Road Scholar and spending a time with me. And I hope you have safe travels home. And again, like Bruce said, please come back and visit us. Thank you. Some of you chose to share your contact information. I'm just going to leave these sheets right here. It's on front and back. And some of you chose not to, which is fine. We're just going to get